So for lab 12, I ask you to create a text file called readme.md using GitHub Markdown. So what is that? So if you're to Google GitHub Markdown, you'll come across a file, Mastering Markdown, and it's basically a different syntax to create some web pages or web content. So for example, here, in order to create a heading, you don't use the h1 tag, rather you just use the hashtag followed by a space. Let me show you an example. So here is my GitHub repo that I've created years ago. In it I have a text file called readme.md. So it's simply a text file. The MD stands for Markdown, and that is displayed here. So this is the text file that I'm talking about. And as you can see here, I have a heading. Now, if I were to right-click and inspect it, it looks like any kind of h1 tag that you would normally expect, but I didn't actually type h1 to make that happen. What I did was, if I click on this edit icon, you can see what I actually typed. Here, I typed in Markdown. See, I typed in the hashtag followed by the space. That's how I made that heading. Let me go back for a second. So what else did I do? So I created this other heading, this h2 tag, and how did I do that? I used two hashtags followed by a space. I have this code sample here. How did I do that? I typed 3 backticks followed by the name of the language. Could be HTML, could be JS for JavaScript or CSS, followed by the code, and then 3 backticks to end it. And that allows the browser to correctly syntax highlight the language. So this was the HTML highlighting. Down here is the JavaScript one because I put JS for the next one. So that's how to do different code samples, for example. And basically this mastering Markdown rather, will give you different ways to insert web content. So for example, if you wanted to insert an image, you could put here the alt text followed by the actual URL of that image, and then it translates that into an image. Or again, here are the headers. That's how to do headings. Here's how to do lists. For ordered lists, you notice you put 1 period followed by space, and that basically translates into 1, 2, 3. Here's how to do links. Let's see here. Here's how to do the syntax highlighting that I was just talking about. So basically for lab 12, once you've watched the video, you're explaining one thing that you learned from that video using GitHub Markdown. So all you're going to do is you're going to go into Visual Studio Code, and you're going to create a new file called readme.md, and then you start typing away, one thing I learned, and then you could type away one thing you learned. And then if you want to use your code samples, you could type in your backticks, type in your code here, right, and then end it with 3 backticks. And what you could also do, what's really neat, is Visual Studio Code has a preview sample where if you hover over this one where it says open preview to the side, it actually will show you a preview of what it will look like once you upload this file to GitHub. So it's kind of neat. It's dynamic, and it'll do it as you're typing along. So check that out. It's a good thing to learn Markdown. All the repositories are using it. Like if I just GitHub Bootstrap, for example, you'll see their repo, or any repo really, and all the repos always have a readme.md file displayed right here. So all of this is created through Markdown. So in case in the future you ever need to create documentation through Markdown, then you now have experience doing that.